Well, the Senate has acted on the so-called tax cut proposal. They acted the way the Senate usually acts. When confronted with a problem, they add ornaments to the Christmas tree. They actually increase the cost. This legislation will cost $858 billion over 2 years. That is bigger than the much reviled stimulus passed in the beginning of the Obama presidency. $858 billion. That'll add approximately $430 billion a year to the deficit next 2 years. That's $430 billion more borrowed, probably from China. Now the question is this the best possible use of this money? Will this put America and Americans back to work, get us more firmly on the path to recovery? I think not. I think much of this money is wasted and will create zero jobs. Now, if you think that the Bush-era tax cuts worked well, they didn't create any jobs, but if for some reason you think they worked well, then you're going to like this. In fact, it's even a bigger giveaway than the Bush-era tax cuts. Or if you think the $300 billion of the so-called stimulus that the president gave away in tax cuts, the Larry Summers tax cuts that were so small no one would notice, and they'd just spend them on consumer goods, bad politics, bad economics, didn't put anybody back to work. To get 3 Republican votes, that's why that $300 billion went in there and bumped out real investment that would have created immediate and real jobs and long-term benefits. No, instead we had ephemeral spending. That was supposed to put America back to work. If you liked that, you're going to love this. Has new provisions. Has one, instead of the President Obama's making work pay tax cuts, now we're going to tax Social Security. That's right, the Republicans are getting their dream here. We're going to give a tax holiday of 2% on Social Security. Isn't that great? It goes to any income level. That means members of Congress will get a minimum of $2,100 tax break, as will other people who do very well in this country. But don't worry, that's going to, that would kind of hurt Social Security to cut its income by $111 billion next year. It would accelerate the point at which it couldn't pay benefits. But don't worry, we'll borrow the money from China, and we will inject it into the Social Security Trust Fund. Tear down the firewall between the general fund and Social Security. Next year, the Republicans are going to say to the president, hey, you can't let that tax cut for working people, that FICA holiday expire. And oh, by the way, we can't afford to subsidize Social Security anymore out of the general fund. This is a trap. And that kind of a tax cut is not going to put people back to work. Then we have the tax cuts for the upper income. $51 billion for income above $250,000. Now remember, up to $250,000, everybody under what President Obama first proposed would get a tax break. It's only your income over $250,000 that would be taxed at the Clinton era rates. And guess what happened during the Clinton era? We balanced the budget and we created 23 million jobs. Not too bad. Now we have record deficits and we're creating an anemic number of jobs. They estimate this package might create between 1 million and 3 million jobs, or save, or later they'll say it could have been worse, just like they did with the stimulus. If we directly invested a fraction of this $858 billion in roads, bridges, highways, sewer, water systems, building schools, things that would pass benefits to future generations, we could create millions of jobs. And you would have gotten something for your money, other than current consumption. And then how about this new provision? Estates over $10 billion. Now the media keeps saying $5 million. No, it's 5 and 5, husband, wife. $10 million of an estate, tax-free, and after that, a lower tax rate. Now that costs $10 billion a year. We're going to borrow $10 billion a year. All the American people are going to borrow that money to give 6,000 families a tax break, who are already doing quite well, thank you very much. How many jobs will that create? Zero. Goose egg. None. It isn't even about small business anymore. We're talking estates over $10 million. And then we're going to continue the Bush-era reductions in capital gains and dividend taxes, which go predominantly to the highest income brackets, under the premise that those things, too, create jobs. If this is a job creator, it is the least efficient, lamest way to create jobs at unbelievable expense. If we want to create jobs, there are better ways to do it. Or if you want to do the tax relief, you could do it for much less. If you cut out the upper income, over 250, the estates, over 10 million. Look at capital gains, dividends. Don't do the FICA tax, or at least cap it so people at levels of Congress don't. We could do this for less and put more people to work.
The chair recognizes